The old pods and the new, brought to you by the Geek Goodness Network.
You can hear us as far north as the wall or as deep down south as Dorne. This is the old pods and the new here on the Geek Goodness Podcast Network. My name is Gerald Cooper. How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good.
Nancy. You still a little messed up from Westworld?
More than. I'm going to try to get into Westerosi mode.
Okay, because I was going to ask you, can you give us anything that isn't spoilery?
There's no way. There's nothing.
Just absolutely. Okay. Oh, you guys are watching together?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And with us again is Avery. Pleasure to have you back, sir.
Hello. Pleasure to be back.
Good to hear your smiling voice over there. So it was a good show, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were threatening to just take over this and be like, look, no, this is the Westworld season finale podcast tonight.
We need to talk. We need to decompress.
We need, like, therapy.
Man, we actually may have to do that. So, folks, you're listening to us here, and we sound a little bit different. We are down a brother. Manuel had a little baby girl, a little lady, little lady Charlotte. So shout out to the Lopez house, to House Lopez.
Emma Charlotte.
You're fighting me. I love that name to start, and like we have. I'd be really spilling some stuff here if I said that, but maybe that's for another time. But I have of course the pro wrestling connection of Charlotte Flair, which was like, oh, that's like the cutest thing in the world. And what did Manuel say his connection to that name was? Did anybody?
The Shadowhunters, isn't it?
That's what I think.
Yeah, Shadowhunter names. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I no idea, but he said it, so it's cool. I'm with it. So again, shout out to House Lopez. Congratulations, second little girl for them, and I'm sure Manny will be shooting for a little lord pretty soon. But we're gonna leave that there. All right, episode 9, Baelor. Let's get into it before we go completely off the rails, because that's kind of where we're starting. All right.
Yeah.
So Varys visits Ned again in the dungeons. He lets Ned know that Sansa begged for his life at court and that Robb is on an active campaign against the Lannisters. He suggests that Ned could put all the turmoil to rest if he confessed his crimes, proclaimed Joffrey king, and tells Robb to stand down. Ned can't get past everything the Lannisters have done, and of course Ned and his honor. That is until he kind of wakes up when Varys plays the daughter card. The setup here is Ned really saying that his life isn't worth anything over his honor, literally using those words. And Varys says, okay, well, what's your daughter's life worth? Avery, we haven't heard from you in a long time. How'd you feel about this scene?
I thought it was an interesting setup for the rest of the episode, especially because it was the first one, the first scene, rather. And I thought it was interesting to see and sort of get an idea of how we're going to keep going and what's going to happen from here on out.
How about you, Nancy?
Well, I love anything with Varys in it. And I've gotten to a point where I love Varys so much because of, things that have happened since that I'm like, Ned, just listen to Varys, okay? Just listen to him.
Yeah.
Like, would you please, Ned, listen to this man?
I don't know that when I first watched it, I'm quite sure I didn't feel that way, but now it's like, no, we can trust him. It's fine. Just do what he says.
How about that Ned doesn't make good choices and he needs somebody to make them for him?
You got that right. Seriously.
I was,
It's a family trait.
Right. It was, and we knew this about him already, but Ned laying out his, that his life isn't worth much without the things that are important to him, was really, I see why people still like the specter of Ned still exists in a lot of ways, but people still have a lot of heart for him because you can. That's so admirable. I mean, dumb maybe, but it's so admirable.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the thing. Like, he's such the stereotypical noble hero in all the best ways, but also in all the worst ways.
And in this world, they're failings.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating, because in any other show, he'd be the hero.
He'd be the man.
And the funny thing about Game of Thrones is that the first few episodes of the first season make you think that the Starks are the center of the story. And as you go along, you realize they're kind of not. Like, they're not as important as you think they are.
Right. No, that's a great point.
And that was, I remember when I watched it the first time, that's what struck me. It's like, wow, wait, maybe they're not the main players. Like, they're certainly important, but they're not necessarily the main players on the board.
Yeah, I have to admit that at this point, I definitely felt that I was still learning the world, even though we had the Cersei interaction with Ned and a few other things that should be clear signs of what this world is. I didn't feel that at this point when I watched it the first time that I really got what this world was. And some things happened, not even in this episode, but later on that was like, okay, this is this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but I think this is the first point where I understood I was watching something different. It's like, the whole ending scene of the first episode was one, right? It's like, wait, this is different. But then, they kind of lull you because it kind of still follows a certain, trope or what have you. Right. And then you land here and it's like, oh, wait, did that just happen?
Exactly. Yeah. It's, yeah, all right, let's move on. Robb and his Bannermen are just outside the Twins having yet another strategy session. This time they're trying to figure out the best way to get Lord Frey to let them pass. It's decided that Cat's their best option considering their history. By their, I mean Cat and Lord Frey. Cat comes before Lord Frey, and it's a lot like when she came before Lysa. Not what she expected. Frey's a weirdo, not on Lysa's level of weird, but a weirdo nonetheless. He's super bitter and a little bit gross. So, Nancy, talk about the exchange between Cat and Walder Frey. What other than his clear hostility towards the Tullys, which are Cat's people and the Starks, who she's now a part of. What stood out?
So basically, he feels like they've done nothing for him ever. I mean, and that's sort of where he seems to be. It's like, I've said some words, a long time ago, but I'm not really sure what they ever gained me in return. So why should I help you now? Like, what on earth, what is the benefit to me? Because in the end, that's all that matters. What's the benefit to me? And just any kind of sense of loyalty or, allyship is, no, he's not there for that. He doesn't give a shit. Yeah. And she's obviously just disgusted by the man. Like, she can't even pretend.
Right. Did he, I don't mean it's Game of Thrones, so I guess there's a level of gross that we're going to hit because there's some gross stuff. Did he warm his hands and then warm his balls? Is that what I've watched this scene 3 times?
Yeah.
In her presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I go, Avery, please cut me off.
I don't. The whole scene. I mean, Walder is just gross. He's so much.
So gross. Yeah.
He's so gross. He's really just a really. I would honestly argue that he's worse than Lysa. Just because, like, he's got all of his
faculties, and he's still this way.
Yeah, he's just weird. He makes my skin crawl. And right now he's got Rob by the balls, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the power.
So he's got all of the power because he's got everything that they need and want in order to go on. So the entire scene actually was just difficult for me to watch because of that, because Walder's just such a creepy dude and he's just so gross, and yet he's got all of the power.
Yeah,
they have nothing.
He's celebrating, his underage. Well, I don't know what underage is in Westeros, but to us, his new underage wife, and it's like everything, about even the way he kisses Kat's hand. I guess it's initially meant to be, okay, look at me observing these rituals, but he kind of like, it's probably like slobber, and it's probably like totally like, and he wants her to feel uncomfortable. Like it's really plain that he's. Although by the conversation prior to her entering, Walder has never been a great guy. Like so he's giving cat hell for her family never doing anything for him when he's never really paid off his bannership or his connection to the Starks and the Tullys. Because
he's just creepy.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, this entire episode was hard for me to watch. Like, there's so many things in this, and I mean, it's a great episode in the sense of this is literally bang a domino and they start to fall. Like, this is the first domino on so many storylines, but boy, it wasn't fun. It just was not fun living through that all again.
Yeah, this no, go ahead, Avery. Sorry about that.
No, sorry. No, it's even worse than that. It's for a lot of the storylines, it's the banging of the domino, yes, but they're not even falling. They're wavering. They're just kind of like hovering there, and so that they're going to fall. They have to fall, but they just haven't gotten to that point yet. Like Daenerys' storyline. Right. We haven't even gotten that far yet. We haven't even gotten to the end of that first domino.
Right.
So, for example, that is exactly what it is, but it's not even. We haven't even gotten that far yet. The domino is still wavering. I think the only domino that's really fallen is Ned at the end of the episode.
All right. So, Lord Commander gives Jon the Mormont ancestral Valyrian sword Longclaw, changes the pommel to a wolf. Partially because Jon saved him from the White Walker, partially because he likes Jon. He's high on Jon's potential. The brothers excited for Jon's new acquisition, but Jon's celebration is cut short when Sam lets him know that Robb is on the warpath with the Lannisters. Not a ton here, because we all know that Jon really does want to go be and fight with his family. Unless you guys got something we can
keep going.
Head on here, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kat returns from her meeting with Lord Frey. He's willing to let Robb pass if Robb takes one of his sons as a squire, if Arya marries one of the Frey sons, and if Robb marries a daughter. Robb accepts Lord Frey's term. We talked about this with Theon and Littlefinger and a couple of other characters, and this is becoming like this just huge running theme. This quest for legitimacy. Frey is on this quest because marrying into the Starks elevates him. And this is what he wants more than anything else. You guys got anything here?
No, this is another one of those scenes where it's like it's too wrapped up in things that happen later for me to really say anything about it. I was a little put off by how easily, Cat just sells her family out. But I mean, that is what you do. That is how you form alliances and allegiances in that type of society. So, I had to kind of set that aside. And it would have really gone badly if she hadn't. Right. So, she had to deal. That's all there is to it.
And it's also war. It's also the Lannisters who has their father and husband locked in a cell.
And the sisters, they don't even know.
They think the sisters are locked up too,
right?
Or at least prisoner somehow.
Cripple their son, so they've got a lot. Cat would probably do quite a bit in order to get back at these people.
Yep.
You sound like you had something, Avery.
It was mainly just agreeing. It's way too wrapped up. I think it also, again, it just goes to show how much Walder Frey has all of the power here.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not even sending all of his men with them. He's sending a contingency of his men, a group of them. I think it's still, I think he still gives more than half, but he's still not giving all of them. And not only that, but he's also asking for all of these things that will solidify his own power in return.
Yeah, because it's all about him ultimately.
Oh yeah,
and I do dig the interaction between Theon and Robb as they're as the conditions are coming out, and Theon's like, you got to marry one of these chicks, dude. And they like the young guys who are still, that they're worried about stuff like looks and everything else. That was a cool little look into their relationship as well.
Yeah.
So at this point, we go back to the wall, and Maester Aemon sends for Jon and lays some wisdom on him and reveals a little secret about himself. Somebody want to go first before I get into this? Because I really, really enjoy this scene.
I love this scene. Because it stirs my Targaryen blood. But also, it talks a lot of, it goes a lot to the dedication of the Night's Watch, of the ones who truly, do it for the right reasons. And he reveals that he is in fact a Targaryen, that he was in line to be king and gave up the throne, right. No less.
It says a lot about him.
And it says a lot about him and how he had to, stay on his watch while his family, even the children, of his brothers were slaughtered and could do nothing because he'd taken his vow. And, and he's telling Jon, that's something you have to decide for yourself and something you have to live with. And it's interesting because I do think he wasn't telling him, he was giving him the full thing. He wasn't necessarily telling him to stay or to go. He was literally just understand whatever choice, it's what you live with.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's beyond, again, another level in Jon's evolution. This is a great performance from this actor, and forgive me, I don't remember his name. Now, if Manuel here, he'd have IMDb up and all of these facts and everything, but this is just a fantastic performance from we'll get it right the next time, the actor who plays Maester Aemon. When he fires up and starts, the way he punches the word children when he's talking about their murder, it's a magnificent piece of acting.
And I think it's an important moment, too, in that, they talk so much about the dragons and the Mad King that you don't necessarily think about that they were just another family. This one guy kind of went off the rails, but there's no hint that the Targaryens were horrible rulers prior to that, or, they were a family who had their strengths and weaknesses like everyone else. And I think it humanized them more.
For their name to be so huge, they suffered and lost just as well as anybody else.
Exactly.
Maybe bigger than everybody else.
Yeah, well, there sure aren't a lot of Targaryens around.
Yeah, that we know of. What do you got on this one, Avery?
I love this scene. I really do. Like Nancy said, it's a great scene. Because it really starts to show all of the facets of the characters that are surrounding the main characters, that are surrounding these perspective characters, that we're starting to see. And especially since Jon isn't fully fledged yet, he's still growing. This is a really great scene for him. I think that's going to come. And then just seeing all of the other people that make up this world, and even going back to the scene that we skipped over for a moment with Jon getting Longclaw. It's part of the reason why I think the wall scenes are some of the best, is because it shows a lot more of these other characters, because there's only a limited number of them at the moment.
Right.
So we really get to see who these people are, and how they all play into Jon's belief system.
No, good call. All right, so Drogo is succumbing to his injury, the somewhat self-inflicted wound to the shoulder. He can't even stay up on his horse. While the conversation is entirely in Dothraki, we can see that Daenerys is basically fighting for his life to essentially ensure that he's just not disposed of on the side of the road or beheaded or something crazy like that. Because in Dothraki, a call in failing health is to them useless. It's time to move on to someone with some strength.
A call who can't ride is no call.
There you go.
Yep.
Back at the Lannister encampment, Tywin lets Tyrion know that he and the Hill tribesmen are going to be in the vanguard when the fighting starts. And basically, we're talking about the front lines in our terms. Tywin realizes how wild and undisciplined the Hill tribesmen are, and he tries to reason with Tywin, who's clearly not trying to hear it. Tyrion storms off to his tent, where we meet Shay, a lovely foreign whore who was commandeered, in quotes, by Bronn for him. So, we don't need to talk about the Dothraki situation there. I mean, unless somebody's got something outside of, they're in real peril here. Daenerys, Jorah, because as far as we know, without the strength and the weight of Drogo behind them, they've got problems. Do you guys got anything there? Because we got a few other things to touch upon here.
No, at the moment I don't have anything like that. You hit it on the head. That it's just you're starting to get the sense of the peril that they're in.
Yeah.
The later scene, I'll have more to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very much one of those episodes where we have to see, like, all of the storylines for the episode have to play out for us to really fully talk on.
Yeah.
So Tyrion says to when they're at the table, he's at the table with Tywin and the other Lannister lieutenants, in quote. Tyrion says, there are easy ways to have me killed that won't undermine the war effort. Yeah. So
that's a great line.
Is Tyrion right? Does Tywin want Tyrion dead, and this is a convenient way to get rid of him? Or does Tywin want Tyrion to prove himself in battle here?
He wants to humiliate him. He either wants him to die or to be humiliated. There is no world that he lives in where Tyrion can prove himself to him. None.
Nothing's going to be satisfactory.
No.
The only thing he can do is die on the battle in glory, and that's it. That's the best thing he can do.
Right. Right. That would be about as good as he could get. But, if he humiliates himself, then, that's fine too, because he, that's what he expects.
So, I'm going to do something. I'm going to walk up to a line that we try not to walk up to on this show. What are your first impressions of Shay? Because
I don't like to talk about Shay.
even here, when you meet her for the first time,
I don't like to talk about Shay.
okay.
I liked Shay. I liked Shay when I first came across her. I thought she was an interesting character, especially because in the realm of horrors being used as set pieces and talk tos, she starts to be something more.
Right.
Yeah, she's more of a character.
She's more of a character.
She is, and she's actually, and we don't delve too much into the books without Manny, but she's actually an improvement over her book version too.
Oh,
yes.
Very much.
Very much is so.
You guys
And
want to?
I mean, in fairness, I like her. I love her, actually. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's fascinating. I think she's an enigma, but there's so much pain there. So, that's all I'll say.
Well, even I mean, there's some even the first couple of lines that they give her where Tyrion, I can't think what the lead up is, but Tyrion talks about that is the lead up where Tyrion talks about his mother dying at childbirth, and she says, "So we're here to talk about our mothers." Mm-hmm. She's already displaying real personality right out the gate, which I really enjoyed her character when we first met her. Okay. Drogo's deteriorating rapidly, and it's making Daenerys desperate. Jorah's making it clear again that if Drogo dies, they are in serious danger. I'm just calling him the young Dothraki. They're in a tent.
I think the bitch Dothraki also works.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Okay. That's good stuff too. They're in a tent. The healer's there. He doesn't want the healer to administer any aid to Drogo, and that's part of. I think now in his case, I think these things are separate. He doesn't want him touched by this witch, so to speak, bad mojo and all of that. But he also wants Drogo out of the way because of his failing health. Daenerys makes the choice to let the healer help Drogo. She's going to use magic, and it's in the healer's own words. It's blood magic. It's a life for a life. So. What do we have here? Because this gets mad.
So,
this is a lot.
Yeah, this gets mad.
There's a lot going on right now.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot
my
to
professor used to put it.
And one of the things that I really, really need to understand, and I've needed to understand since the last episode, is there are no Dothraki healers that we're going to trust this chick. Like, I have issues with Daenerys' judgment right there. Like, she's channeling Cat, and I'm not feeling it. It's like, why? Why would you trust this stranger that y'all just kidnapped and, was going to be is a slave, except for Daenerys taking her under her wing?
I think you might have answered the question there.
I mean, it is, but she's too trusting.
There's still like a layer of desperation under the trust, and then and my issue is that from the beginning she trusted her to treat, and I wouldn't have. Like, it's like, okay, it's great, I'm trying to save you, that's nice, but I want one of the Dothraki healers in here. I want somebody who is in their best interest for her to help the call. In this, she's kind of, let's be honest, she's not just getting desperate. I mean, she's really going off the rails because, she loves him, but she also, and I mean, I was going to say, but she also knows he's her only protection, but she kind of doesn't. Jorah really has to point that out to her. So I guess that's not really the case. It really is just how much she loves him and how much she sees them as a force to be reckoned with.
The line where she's on his chest and she's like, he's so strong, you don't know how strong he is rather. That's about those two. That's not about their safety.
Yeah, exactly. But I just have this is one of those plot threads where I sit here and it's like, I don't know if I'm angry and it's good storytelling, like because I know how much comes of it, or if I'm angry because I feel like it's really so manufactured to get to where we need to be later. I just don't know. I'm not sure that it's in her character. I'm not. And I always have felt this way. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure it's true to her character or not. But you know.
What do you got here, Avery?
So there's, as I said, there's a lot there's a lot to unpack. It's really interesting because you start to see how starkly different she is from the rest of the Khalasar. Mm-hmm. She wants to save him, but they've already left him because he fell off his horse. And that's a really important thing in their culture. If you can't ride, you are not fit to lead. Right. That's it. You're done. So they've already they've already written him off. So they're all hanging in there because of her, I feel, because they do still kind of want him to live, but he's already been written off. It's already over for them.
And maybe that's the answer to the healer thing, because maybe they just don't freaking have healers. Like, that's weak.
Right, because I feel like they probably would have tried that already before he even got on the horse. They would have tried to fix that, but once you get to a certain, like, you would have tried to stop the infection before it even got this far, and now we're that far. Like, it's over. But I think the part that's most important about, or one of the things that's most important about this entire scene, and showing, again, how different she is, how starkly different she is from the rest of the Khalasar, is they sacrifice the horse.
Yeah.
They sacrifice the horse in order to try to save Khal Drogo, and it's the horse and the man are so intrinsically combined. Right. Your horse is a part of you in their culture, basically. So the fact that they're sacrificing the horse, that was at that point, basically, a part of me was wondering, would Drogo even want to come back at this point? Because of all of the things she's doing, and she's kind of lost that. She's so hopeful and she wants him to live, but she's not even thinking about him. She wants the idea of him to live, almost.
That's a good call.
Yeah, that's actually a valid point, because she even the witch even says something to that effect, that it's not like he's going to come back the way she wants.
Right.
So yeah, that's a really good point.
And just on a more in a different writing standpoint, I always find it interesting because they're almost starting to refrigerate him, almost. Like, yeah, they're starting to stuff him into a refrigerator for her.
They are.
Which is always fun when you start to see that trope turned on its head with men being refrigerated for women. And I always appreciate that.
That's true. That's totally all he's there for.
He's totally there just...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's totally just there to start. I mean, right now he's just starting to get refrigerated. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a really some real insight there, because killing a horse is huge to them. Never considered it until you mentioned it. So she's really, Daenerys is completely going against their culture with a lot of what she's doing to save Drogo.
Right, and they've already started to see her as weird ever since. Like, she always had Drogo basically translating for her, and not even just literally translating for her, but her emotions and what she wants. They're translating. He is her link to the Khalasar. And I mean, even if you just go back to whatever episode it was that I was last watching, where the whole thing about the wooden horses, and about because they didn't want to cross the ocean, and so this I feel like that was the first step. And I mean, they were all there for it, but if you look back on it at this point, you can start to see that they might see her as more than just the Khaleesi, and less of the Khaleesi rather, and more as a woman whispering into his ear all of these things that are going against their culture.
Right, the interloper.
Right. So, and the fact that she seems to even have him, she doesn't really have him under control, but they probably even see it that way, which is far more than the Khaleesi should even be. The Khaleesi is really there as almost a trophy for the Khal, and she's already bucking that type almost, it seems.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because you can start to see it evolve, and you can see all of her actions that she's taken in the past begin to come and bite her, because she's trying to be herself, and she's trying to get what she wants and what she's always wanted with the Khalasar, except she's doing it all way too fast. It's a culture shock rather than a gradual melding of cultures.
Absolutely true. So, and just to polish off the scene, so she's going to use magic. She's going to use blood magic specifically, and the price for saving Drogo, she says, is a death for life. Sacrifice the horse. They cut its throat. There's blood literally everywhere. It gets really weird because she walks out of the tent, and Jorah's like, "We gotta go, the fuck out of here." But she starts to go into labor, and then there are all of these weird noises from the inside of the tent. These unearthly moans from the inside of the tent, and all of the Dothraki are standing around like, fuck every bit of this.
I mean, even the captioning was describing it as demons groaning from within.
Yeah, really.
It was just like, no,
Yeah.
it's demons. And it's just like, okay, when the captioning says it's demons, I'm kind of inclined to agree.
We got to go with it. Yeah. What's the line that the healer says? The dead dance tonight? Is that what
Yes. The dead will dance tonight.
I can't remember. I can't believe I remember that. No, but this is... Go.
Sorry, a piece of me even, I mean, this is probably just going to end up segueing into the rest of the conversation. But this is, if I recall correctly, because I haven't seen all of the season, this is really the first piece of actual magic we've seen in the show. And it's so far afield, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's so far and so much that a piece of me just wonders if she isn't bullshitting the entire thing, you know?
Oh, she's on the inside.
Like making the noise.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
She's
and
got cans.
you gotta think,
We haven't really seen magic at this point.
we haven't, yeah, and so it's interesting to see, especially because it's such and even worse than that, it's so all of these things just seem perfectly aligned to destroy her credibility, as well as destroy Drogo as much as possible, because of the horse, because of the fact that all of these people have already witnessed her trying to explain that it's blood magic, that no one really likes blood magic in the Khalasar. Like, it's a huge thing, and it's so. A piece of me is wondering already, is this bullshit? Like, what? I don't know if she just never should have trusted her. She just never should have trusted her.
And the bitch Dothraki, is that what you called him?
The bitch Dothraki.
He's not happy. He's going into the tent. Jorah isn't having it, and we see that Jorah is still a badass, even though he had the benefit of armor, because he would have gotten cut in half at this moment. And he takes out this Dothraki and tends to Daenerys at this point.
don't know if we can call him much of a badass, because the reason why he won is because the Dothraki didn't know what to do with a man in full armor. Because literally, the guy hits, what's his name?
Jorah.
I have already. Thank you, Jorah. He hits him. He gets stuck on the armor, and you see a look of confusion and almost fear cross the Dothraki's face before Jorah manages to get the upper hand and kill him.
I got armor. You don't. You die.
Yep.
He's a badass. He can. I know. I'm not sitting around with a bunch of Jorah fans here, but he at his age and everything he's done, and his weird fascination with Daenerys. I still appreciate a guy who can throw a couple of punches here and there to protect somebody. So Bronn, Shay, and Tyrion are keeping themselves occupied with drinking games, no less. No less. Before the battle to come. And Tyrion tells a tragic story about love lost. This is really jacked up. And the lead up is like so fun. They're just enjoying themselves and getting wasted. And we hear that Tyrion was married and it was all a sham, and Tywin intervened. Well, it was actually Jaime who was trying to help his brother out, but Tywin intervened. You can't be a Lannister and be with a whore, and we're going to not only dissolve this marriage, we're going to break your spirit forever and ever.
Yep.
I love Tywin as a character, but you want to talk about just a rotten human being. Avery.
Yes.
Anything on what on Tyrion's story about his former wife?
Right. I mean, for rapid character development, this is fantastic. You get to see there's just so much in this one scene, and while I wish there was more of a build up to it, I love the fact that that's it. Like, you get all of this stuff from it. You get this incredible story that really, if you look into it, you can see all of the reasons and a ton of explanations as to why Tyrion is who he is at the moment. And it's such a great scene in total.
Yeah, it's just, how last episode we talked about how it was just so clear that Tyrion didn't want to see his father. He didn't want to meet up with his father. He didn't want to explain the things that he promised the hill tribes and everything. And it wasn't like, hey, you're spending my money, young fella. We are not together. Like, we are not a family. We are a family in name. We are a family in public, if you will. Even though Tywin hates everything about that, but we are not a family. And here you go. Probably one of many, many things. I can't imagine anything being more devastating than, seeing your wife raped, I guess you could say, because they said they paid her. It had to have been the absolute ruination if something prior to it wasn't of their relationship. Nancy, you got anything about
everything you just said? Like, I can't. I never liked Tywin, but boy, I wanted to kill him after this. It's like, what did you do to him? He's the best of your children, really. And
he's just his kid. He's just his kid.
He's like, and literally, you set out to damage him constantly. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it, and it's horrible, and yeah.
It's because he views Tyrion as having damaged him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he took the wife away from him that he loved.
Took the wife away, and
he wasn't even a proper heir. He wasn't even a proper child. And the fact that basically he is the only heir at the moment is
right. It really infuriates him. It's true, because he hates that Jaime, volunteer for the King's Guard because that takes him out of being the heir. And Tyrion isn't even a man to him.
This is such a
yeah,
man. Yeah,
It's
this
so fucked.
yeah, it really is. It really is. All right, so the next morning, the battle is on. Robb is spotted near the Lannister encampment. Tyrion hypes up the Hill tribesmen as he's got his little armor on and all of that good stuff. And they charge, like, you know, they're wild and crazy, and they're ready to fight. And in that stampede, Tyrion gets KO'd by a warhammer. When Tyrion wakes, the battle is over, and Robb has outsmarted Tywin. The real battle and the real prize are won by Robb. Robb not only does he have a victory over Tywin in battle, but he has taken Jaime Lannister. So.
And how are you feeling about that? Are you okay?
I'm fine. My boy's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Even without watching the rest of it, Jamie's gonna be all right. So I watched this again, and it's in Jamie is brought before Robb, and Jamie says, "Listen, let's end it. Me and you, 1-on-1. No more bloodshed. It's over once we fight. One of us falls. That's it." And Robb knows Jaime's just that damn good. Now, Robb does understand that Jaime's this world-class swordsman, and he probably won't win. He's got realistically, he's got other concerns, and if Jaime wins, his father's probably dead, his sister's probably dead. So that's the smartest thing he could possibly do, is to not fight this man 1-on-1. Is there a level of Jaime being correct that's ended? Like this is only going to get worse. One of us dies, this thing's over. Avery.
Is there a level of him being correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's if Robb had just taken him up and one of them died, then I think we would have ended the show a couple of seasons ago. I think a lot of the problems would have been fixed.
Right.
No, but I mean, really, yeah. Yeah. I think it's a metaphor for the entire show. If these people would actually just go and fight each other like people do in other fantasy genre shows, a lot of the situations would have been resolved a lot quicker, but they don't. So everything gets drawn out.
Yeah. Or folks would just listen to each other.
Yeah.
Or just listen.
Or just listen. And the fact that they don't is just indicative of the show and how all of the characters work in general. All I can think about is, what would Ned think? How would Ned have felt about the way Robb dealt with the situation?
Well, Ned would have taken him on.
Ned totally would have taken him on. So what if? Yeah, Ned would have taken him on and probably lost. Yeah.
What do you got on this one, Nancy? Does your hated Jaime Lannister have a point here?
He does, but it doesn't change the fact that he knows he can win. Like, I mean, it's all well and good to say he has a point. Sure, he does. But he has a point because he knows he can end it. You know, I'm not sure I would give him... it's not so much that he's, just trying to be fair and it's like, let's settle this like men,
I don't believe that.
But no, I mean, on Robb's side, he can't. He can't because of his father and his sisters. Yeah, he's in an impossible position.
He's got,
for all
somebody
the time.
else said it but me. Somebody else other than me said it. Say it again.
Said what?
He's in an impossible position.
Yeah, he is. He's in an impossible position. I was going to say, and out of all the times, out of all the stupid things I think Robb does and stupid decisions, this isn't one of them. Agreed. He's handling this correctly.
Agreed. I want it noted that Nancy also said that somebody was in an impossible position, because I believe watching this show how many times people, it's like, no, that was dumb. And not saying in this case, I've had argument after argument. This was a dumb choice. It's like, look at the choices.
Right.
Look at the conceivable outcomes. So many of these characters are presented with fucking possible choices.
It's Kobayashi Maru time, right?
We don't know.
The issue with Rob is that he never really seems to accept it as an impossible situation. He'll never look at the cards and see all of the things. He'll just do what like his father does and go with what his gut feels is right, or whatever his morality feels is right. And that's his issue in the end. In this case, he does do the right thing, but in other situations, he is an impossible situation, and he doesn't acknowledge how impossible it is.
And in fairness, if he was as seasoned a soldier as Ned, he probably would have taken him on. He just knows damn well he doesn't have the experience. So it's not so much, that he's making a choice, that he thinks his father would have made. He knows that if he were his father, he could do it.
Right.
He's just very aware of how little experience he has next to the Kingslayer.
Yeah,
Right.
he's going to get his ass smoked by Jamie.
Yep.
So.
Stop sounding so happy about that, all right?
Just saying. So I don't know. I wasn't like a huge fan of the rah-rah speech that he gave after, because he sounded like he was chastising his men for celebrating this victory. That realistically, look, you guys could have lost this if not for some quick thinking from Rob. But I did enjoy the little exchange between he and Theon, where he says, I sent 2,000 men to their graves today. And Theon comes back with, what's the line? Oh, the bards will sing songs of their sacrifice. And he says, but the dead won't hear them.
Yep.
I was like, I still like Rob. I'm still a huge Rob fan. All right, so we catch up with Arya, and I have here that she's lost and hungry. I don't know if she's lost it or not, but she's definitely hungry, and she's doing her best Rocky Balboa impression, running down pigeons.
Yeah.
And broke its neck in one move, like foreshadowing.
Yeah, really.
So she tries to bargain for a crust of bread. It's like, wait, hold on, real quick. Flea Bottom or Old Town? Where are we right now? Just my curiosity.
Flea Bottom.
Flea Bottom, Nancy.
Old Town is a completely different area.
Old Town's where?
Old Town is way off. It's the place where the Maesters come from.
Okay. Oh, yep. Exactly. Thank you. And now I'm getting, somebody's listening to this and I'm getting cursed out. You don't know your fucking geography.
Old Town is completely on like the other side of the country.
We'll get you a map. It's okay.
It's okay.
A fictional map. Thank you. So she sees a stream of people headed in the opposite direction. Asks what's going on, and they say, it's the hand of the king. So, who wants to take this one?
Are we going all? What do you want to do? Are we just going straight in and talking about?
Absolutely.
Man, you want to talk about a lot to unpack.
This is very fucked up. This is very fucked up for a lot of reasons. This is very fucked up. There's a lot to unpack is a great way to put it, Avery. This is super. This is, I think this is where I don't think I hated, like, I disliked Joffrey up until this point, and this is where the hate started. This is precisely where my personal.
I'm sorry, a dire wolf died because of him. He was never forgiven after that.
I'm a Lannister. Yeah. I'm a Lannister, so come on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, so the thing I find most interesting about the scene is that the entire show revolves around this scene. Because of this scene, I feel this is the domino.
I'm nodding my head right now.
Like this is like Nancy had said earlier. This is the domino that sets off all of the other dominoes. The only other spare domino I feel is Daenerys, but even at some point they're going to intersect anyway, so it's not really going to matter.
Right.
But in this case, this is the domino that sets off everything else. This is the scene that the entire show hinges around.
Okay, we're talking around it. I'm sorry. Let me just get into this. So,
okay.
Arya follows the crowd, and Ned is confessing his crimes. And Ned believes his not really his crimes, right? Ned believes that he's going to be allowed to go to the wall. It's best for Sansa if they do a little, eye thing between the two before he starts. He knows it's going to be best for her that he believes at least she'll be safe. So he confesses his crime, all his crimes, plural, all lies. Recognizes Joffrey as a true king, and again, Arya's there watching all this,
which he notices.
Yeah,
right. He sees her on the foot of Baelor.
Right. This just sucks. So Joffrey starts off his speech about, whatever the fuck, really, and
being a little bitch,
right? Well, honestly,
whining, whatever.
But it's the bait and switch where he, it sounds like he's going to let Ned go, but he talks about his lady love and his mother who have soft hearts, and that's when shit is on, because he's not going to let treason go unpunished. And it's the first time I remember hearing his name, and it may be someplace else. He says, "Sir Ilyn, take his head." Now, this was to everybody else on the fly. I think Joffrey always knew if Ned confessed, he was going to kill him. I think he always knew. Now,
he was always going to kill him no matter what.
Right. But to Cersei, that's not what she wanted, and it was very clear. She's like, "What the ever loving fuck are you doing right now?"
Yep.
And for and I've only seen this a handful of times in movies and in fiction, really, where we're set up for the main character. We're set up to focus on one character, and they kill him. I remember like To Live and Die in L.A. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Nope.
They kill Tom Berenger like literally halfway through the movie, and another character sort of takes his role up. I can't think of too many pieces of fiction where it's like, okay, this is the guy, and we got all of this show left, and we're killing him.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were, it's like that first time you watch it, it's like, how's he going to get out of this? Like, I know he's going to get out of it, but how's he going to get out of it? And it's like, oh, wait, he didn't get out of that.
No.
Literally, and like you're watching, I know I remember when I first watched, in particular, the when time starts slowing. As time starts slowing and he's starting to look around, you're looking at it like he's going to get out. He's got to get out. What's going to happen?
Something happens.
And then it then the sword comes down and the pans over and the birds start flying and it's over. Yeah. You know it's done.
And and they make sure you see the sword on the other side of his throat.
Yep.
From the back of his neck to the front of his throat.
And it's just like a split second worth. It's not even a full second that you see it on the other side of his throat, and because it's not fast enough for the camera to catch the actual cut, like the actual severing of the head, but you clearly see the sword on his other side of the throat before it pans back over to the crows flying away.
Yeah,
this was rough. This was the first time it was, I have to watch this again. Not even a whole, even a whole show, but maybe the last 7 minutes or so. They just killed Sean Bean in his show. That's what we're thinking. That's what I was thinking.
But isn't that
all he does?
I was going to say.
He's either dead, evil, or both. That's kind of Sean Bean's
his deal.
Whole aesthetic.
That's his deal. It's just so. This was. I mean, we're kind of droning on right now, but this was. I mean, his.
This was shocking. It was. It really was. Yeah. It was shocking. It was like, what the hell did I just see? And in front of his daughters, like, this is not something that happens. They refrigerated Ned for his daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like his two of his kids are there. Like that. Like, you are a world class son of a bitch.
He wanted blood. Like, it had nothing to do with Ned per se, or his treason, or whatever. Joffrey wanted to be able to say, off with his head. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, he was the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
And if we wouldn't know that necessarily at this moment, we get to know Joffrey better.
I felt it from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah. Because he enjoys other people's pain too much for him not to have done that.
Yeah. This isn't coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, this isn't coming out of nowhere, no. Like, he all along he likes people hurting and people getting killed for his sake, whether it's dogs or butcher boys. Like,
yeah. See, I didn't exactly see it that way, because again, I'll be 100% here. Even after this sword swipe, I did not really understand this world until a little bit later. And then when it happened, I was like, oh shit! All right, this is what we're dealing with here. But if I guess maybe I'm looking at it a little bit too specifically, where you take it back to the scene with him and Cersei, and he's like, oh, so they are our enemies, talking about the Starks. Like gleefully, they are our enemies, and we're going to, at some point, we're going to find a means or a reason to get these people out of our lives, stuff like that. So I didn't see him as the
sociopath that he is.
Yes, I did not. I didn't see it quite yet. All right, did we miss anything? Do we have anything else before we move on?
No, I think that covers it.
Yeah. I mean, Ned got what was coming to him.
Oh boy, why'd you do that? Because now. Because now I don't want to keep talking about how poorly he played the game. No, not even. You know what? That he didn't play it. He
didn't know there was a game. He didn't know.
He knew there was a game. He knew there was a game.
He didn't. I believe that he didn't even know there was a game until he got thrown into that damn dungeon.
This is a dangerous place. We need to get you home. He knew that there was a game.
He knew there was something afoot. He didn't know it was an entire game. He did not know how everyone had already had their cards out.
No.
And
to that, yes.
Played onto the table.
Yes.
And like everyone else was already 5 steps ahead by the time he walked on the stage, and he did not accept that. He did not see that. In that regard, absolutely. That he was. I think he knew he was in a Shark Tank, but not the level. I think I don't even know how to. Yeah, just not to the level of the treachery and deception that would. That's going on here, and that everybody wants something, and everybody's actively going after that thing that they want. So on that level, yes, I'd have to. To agree. He was playing Chutes and Ladders. They were all playing Connect 4. With a half-finished game. He went right to Chutes and Ladders. That's good shit. I mean, he shooted himself straight off the playing board.
Yeah, he did.
Big time. Oh, poor Ned. I still like you, Ned, even though you're...
Great. No, Ned's a great character. Yeah. He's a headless horse. Yeah, he's part of the Headless Club now.
Yeah.
He's done.
All right, let's get out of here. Avery,
Yes.
give the people your social media.
So I am on Twitter as LivingXParadox, and I've also started up my Twitch again at Halcyon Dreamed.
Okay, Nancy.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Bronx Girl with the GRRL for girl.
What's my name? Okay, Gerald L. Cooper. Gerald L. Cooper on Facebook. No, Leon Cooper on Facebook. Gerald L. Cooper on Twitter. All right, we're out of here, folks. This has been the Old Pods and the New. Again, Manuel, congratulations on your new little lady. And we will talk to you soon.